Today's theme is all about personal engagement early in the buying journey and how sales and marketing need to work together to plan and execute the most individually targeted, personalized campaigns commensurate with each account's opportunity. Here's the thing though, from a prospect's perspective, even very early in the buying journey, it's really all about them. And what we say or write is not necessarily what a prospect hears, quote unquote hears. You can't see me, but I'm putting the quotes around the word hears or sees. Even supposedly personalized emails that mention their names can feel like noise if we're not actually addressing their business issues and or problems as they see them. It's all about them. They want you to show them that you know them. And in fact, according to a recent LinkedIn report, 96% of decision makers say they're more likely to consider a brand's products or services if a sales professional has a clear understanding of their business needs. And 93% of decision makers value personalized communications. But creating super personalized outreach and content is very difficult when you don't actually know someone. So how do you break through that noise early in the buying journey to convert a suspect into a prospect? For some accounts, using account-based marketing or ABM is the trick. Though it's not a new concept, organizations are now talking about doing ABM at scale and devoting budget to it. So sure, it's a buzzword, but it is actually a nascent strategy as well. According to this study, organizations devoted over 25% of their marketing budgets to ABM last year, but over half of them are new to it. But that means, of course, 20% of them have been doing ABM for 3 or more years. So yeah, it's a buzzword, it's new, and it's also not new. So what makes getting started with this strategy so challenging? Well, according to marketing respondents to this survey, a couple things. It's not having the right data to both personalize marketing and track results. It's difficulty developing campaign assets that are mass customizable, so you can do this at scale. Budget, certainly. But perhaps the most important thing is educating sales on the process and value of ABM. And it's that last challenge where we'll spend a lot of our time today. I'm a marketer by trade, and as a marketer, I want to make sure you know what's in it for you as a sales professional and why it's worth your time to partner with marketing around ABM. I want to make sure that I'm going to be your marketing partner for the next 40 minutes or so, and together we're going to learn how to create and conduct a super successful ABM campaign into one or more of your target prospects or accounts. And by the way, I always think of successful as meaning having a material impact to close rates and deal sizes. So we just discussed how ABM is not a new concept. So why is it suddenly so hot right now? Well, for starters, B2B buying has changed. Back in the day, it was all about sales delivering value and by being an expert in their own stuff. But buyers are now doing their own product research. According to Serious Decisions, B2B buyers are typically 65% or more of the way through their purchase consideration journeys before they'll self-identify to a company. They don't need or want sales to be product experts anymore. What they want is for sales to become an expert in their company. So this means that the role of sales has materially changed, and you have to become an expert in helping a prospect understand that they have problems they may not even have recognized yet, which can best be resolved with your solution. You've got to become an expert in their company. Here's the thing though, marketing's role has also changed. Marketing still has to get out in front of the buying cycle with content and outreach, but to break through the noise, capture the customer's attention, and generate a lead, that content needs to actually change the customer's direction on buying criteria to set up the sales effort. So how do you do this? According to a CEB, which is now Gartner study, Only 2 qualities of content are statistically significant in changing a customer's direction, meaning only 2 things matter. The first is that that content has to teach the customer something new about their own business. And the second thing is that that content has to provide compelling and motivating reasons why action is necessary. So let's define ABM.
Hey, Liz.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz, it's Julie. And I know I'm in San Diego and you're far away in Boston, but I'm getting like this little flash on my screen. I wasn't sure if you're seeing that or if it's our go-to-market, our go-to-webinar. You see that?
I'm not seeing a flash, but let me keep an eye out for it. Let me do one more build here.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I did see a little flash. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's
Okay.
my mouse. Yeah. So Julie, break it again if it gets really distracting and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I have a feeling it's my
Sounds
mouse, which
good.
is appearing and disappearing. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Thanks.
sorry about that, everyone. Let me try one other thing. Okay. So account-based marketing. Some companies think ABM is personalized emails, content, or landing pages, and others think it's really just a name for sales, a different name for sales working early in the buying journey. Here's the thing. ABM is a strategic B2B approach that coordinates personalized marketing and sales efforts to open doors and deepen engagement with specific contacts at specific accounts. Using representations of actual buyers called personas, along with research about specific individuals, ABM yields improved conversion. And because it's so targeted, it's kind of like fishing with a spear rather than a net. You should care as a sales professional about an opportunity resulting from an ABM campaign because it increases deal sizes. So this is the punchline here. ABM increases your average deal size. 91% of respondents saw an increase in deal size, but more importantly, nearly a third of them saw an increase of 20% to 50% larger deals than average. And an educated guess suggests that the 9% that didn't see an increase in deal size may not have been doing ABM according to best practices. So let's talk about what those best practices are and how to be an awesome sales partner. And Julie, I'm not seeing that flash anymore. I don't know if you are and if our audience is, but hopefully we've got that resolved.
It looks great from my end. Thank you.
Perfect. And everyone, I hope it looks better for you too. So when it comes to ABM and being an awesome partner with marketing, sales and marketing are both worried about things. Marketing worries about how to get sales on board, and sales wants to fix current challenges like poor lead quality, lack of content, lack of resources to close a deal. But this is all about alignment. ABM campaigns will address many of those concerns, but sales needs to be an awesome partner and come to the ABM table ready to play. Why? Aside from improved conversion rates, companies with tightly aligned sales and marketing teams experience 36% higher customer retention rates. So it's not just about winning deals. ABM helps you keep those clients longer. The truth is, without sales partnership, marketing will not be as successful. So let's take a look at the ABM process and what you as sales professionals bring to the table. So here's the basic ABM process, which we'll dig into in a bit more detail over the next few slides. It's important to think of this 4-stage approach as a networked or iterative model rather than a very linear stepwise process. This means you may do things out of order, you may circle back to previous steps to revise or refine, and all that's okay. Here's an example. So the first time your marketing team, or rather your integrated ABM team, new term there, and we'll talk more about it. But the first time this integrated team starts thinking about ABM, you'll actually want to lay the groundwork big picture, and you'll probably start with stage 4, because that set of activities includes program and account strategy, goals and approaches to metrics and measurements, maybe some program chartering. So you'll start there, big picture. You may then go back to stage 1 or 2 and you look at some more details. For example, marketing may already have some persona work done. So step 2 may take place once and then refined later. So the idea here is that this is a set of stages. Often you'll walk through them in order, but not always. But it's important that each one of these things gets done. So let's examine each one of these stages in a little more detail. So the first stage here is account selection. And the goal of this stage is to identify target accounts to participate in an ABM campaign. These activities are definitely informed by your value selling toolkit. And you're going to bring incredible value and insights to marketing. So you're going to be using your value selling toolkit to do things like help marketing understand the likely deal size based on what you've seen in other accounts, so they understand the payoff for including those accounts in the campaign. You're going to want to help marketing focus on accounts where business objectives, business issues, and likely problems will be most predictably solved by your differentiators. You're going to do things like pre-call planning, and you'll bring that kind of research into the ABM world. You'll want to help marketing eliminate accounts that are high risk or likely to be a waste of time. You'll want to help prioritize accounts where you have or can get contact level data for many different roles and levels in the decision-making unit. So this account selection set of activities should really be done with the whole integrated ABM team at the table. Sales and marketing can bring their own initial lists to the meeting, but everyone should leave with the same shortlist. You'll want to look for overlaps between these two lists first, and then agree on a system of lead scoring and score the remaining potential target accounts to see which are more likely to close. Now, we've talked about this integrated ABM team. Let me just give you a flavor for who should be on it. You'll want your sales management, you'll want sales reps who own existing accounts that you're trying to penetrate, or sales reps who might own new accounts that you're targeting. You'll want some product marketers, some content marketers, maybe a product manager, and you'll definitely want your BDRs, SDRs, right? Your business development reps or sales development reps, maybe some creative types. So you'll really want to make sure you have this holistic integrated team starting at the beginning as you're working on selecting accounts. The next thing you're going to do once you have that list of accounts to include in your campaign is you'll identify the specific individuals within those accounts to whom you want to campaign. So in general, having a deep understanding of your buyer is critical to driving content creation, sales follow-up, and really anything that relates to customer acquisition and retention. So marketers will often use persona analysis to inform marketing outreach. A buyer persona, right? These persona profiles, it's really a buyer persona, and it's a fictional, generalized representation of a group of target buyers. This composite profile is based on market research and data about your existing customers. Often, these personas are quite coarse-grained as marketers aren't talking to customers and prospects every day the way sales does. So marketing, we do what we can with research and interviews, but sales reps know who these clients actually are and can lend all kinds of detailed insights into the development of really robust personas using the information and insights that you collect about individual conversations with your value prompters. So think of it this way. Value prompters support conversations with individuals to close deals, whereas buyer personas, or we would call them persona prompters, support segment communications to drive motivation. So developing personas together isn't as much about overlap as it is about filling in details. So what you're looking at here in this graphic is a summary of a persona prompter. Marketing's personas will identify companies, titles, positions, industry information, and perhaps even demographic information. Sales will add insights on typical business issues, problems, and pain points that only come out in a conversation. In fact, in a recent study, 89% of decision makers say consistent messaging from sales and marketing is important. So developing these personas together is critical. So together you'll plan which personas in your target companies to go after in your ABM campaigns. And to be realistic, some of this may be driven by how many contacts per company you already have in your database. If you don't have enough, then you might consider what contact acquisition you need to do and what tools you need to use to target the right personas. Okay, the next stage, after we've identified our target accounts and we've made sure that we've got these very robust persona strategies so that we can develop great content, we're going to actually plan and launch the campaign. So let's spend a few minutes talking about the actual go-to-market strategy. Marketing will take over a bunch of the heavy lifting here. But at the heart of this stage, it's really all about the customer experience and finding the right way to engage. So obviously sales input is important here as well. Now, some studies show that by 2020, customer experience will become a company's most important brand differentiator. And whether you agree with that or not, I think we can all agree that it's very important to plan and execute a campaign which provides a great personalized experience that incents further curiosity and action. Of course, we need to balance privacy concerns, especially in the age of GDPR. There's a fine line between engagement that's personalized and respectful and engagement that's creepy because it's too personalized. Also, in some industries, employees can't accept gifts, so you have to be mindful of that as well, given that what we're going to talk about with ABM is sending some pretty personalized, let's call it swag. We'll talk about that in a moment. So you just have to make sure we're balancing privacy, gift policy, and being appropriate as we plan these campaigns. So it's in this stage that we actually start analyzing any existing content we could potentially use in the campaign. If personas changed drastically in step 2, there might need to be an intermission in ABM meetings while the marketing team retools some existing content pieces to best meet the needs. If not, or if your marketers have unusually thick skins, you'll want to start reviewing core content pieces together with an eye toward what will work best in a high interaction type of campaign. So you want to begin with content that is most commonly clicked or used by sales and make sure each piece aligns with the persona and a particular stage in the buyer's journey. Marketing will have data which demonstrates which pieces have the best digital responses. Sales will know which ones work best with real people when it's time to close an account. The key is to find or develop content and tactics which will progress the persona on a journey from low interest, low awareness in your company to high interest, high awareness in your company and solution. So that's the graphic you're looking at on the left, that progression and the tactics that it's going to take to get your prospect to high interest, high awareness. Once you understand which content will be compelling to a particular persona progression, the integrated ABM team will want to define how to go to market. One of the most interesting best practices in ABM these days is to begin by developing a theme for a campaign and then use physical and digital outreach in combination. This goes by many names. It can go by multi-channel, omni-channel. You can call it green cheese for all I care, but a key to deeper levels of engagement early in the funnel is a cadenced combination of digital and physical outreach. Sure, it's more complicated than single channel. It can be more expensive, and campaigns really need to be well project managed, but it's well worth it in terms of progressing the prospect to high awareness, high interest over several campaign interactions. So multi-channel. At this point, you also need to agree in advance how the MQL, or marketing qualified lead, for this campaign will be defined. In other words, how far through the qualified prospect formula you need to go before the lead gets handed off to sales. And I don't know if you saw what I did there, but I'm assuming that everyone is using the QPF and that we've banished BANT. For those of you that don't know what BANT is, it's an acronym for a pervasive yet outmoded qualification approach that all too many marketing organizations continue to use. And if everyone is using the same qualification formula, in this case, the qualified prospect formula, we're going to be able to have set expectations about what that lead will look like. For example, if BDRs, or business development reps, are making phone calls as part of the campaign, then perhaps they can go as far as a vision match before handing off that lead. If you're doing something more automated, you want to have a different kind of scoring model in place, but it's critical that you reach agreement and that there's alignment around what that MQL will look like. So let me give you some examples of some really interesting ABM campaigns and tactics. So I've got 3 little examples for you, and this is really the fun part of ABM. Okay, the first example I sort of call back to basics. You know, many people, so basics, I'm thinking here of a direct mail piece, right? Many people or prospects will be surprised and intrigued if they receive a direct mail piece, and it really works to capture someone's attention. So we worked with a tech company not too long ago who pegged their ABM campaign to one of their books that was in market that was working really well in terms of educating people around something they didn't already know. Remember, that's one of our key types of content that's statistically significant in terms of changing buying criteria. Okay, so they had a book that was doing well, and that book used a cake metaphor to describe this company's technology. So the company decided to use a cake theme for this ABM campaign, and they sent a package which contained a couple of things. It contained branded content. In this case, it was a mug with their logo, a fruitcake, which was a thing when this campaign was executed around the winter holidays. And they also included a personalized note talking about cake and coffee and taking time and all that other stuff. This letter contained additional information that BDRs found based on research of LinkedIn and Facebook that wasn't creepy. So the letter was personalized, and then additional information was added if it was appropriate for a business professional to know. This ABM campaign was so successful. We'll talk about it when we talk about metrics, but just I'll preview myself a little bit. These BDRs got meetings 50% faster as part of this ABM campaign than when they were just using their regular outreach. So super successful. Second example I have here is what I'm calling a night at the movies. So this was a software company that was selling personalized video, and they sent a dimensional mailer as part of their ABM campaign, which looked like a branded movie screen containing a link to a personalized demo, a branded popcorn container, and a package of microwave popcorn. There was also a link to a $25 Amazon gift card, and the recipient was invited to sit down with their popcorn, watch the movie, and if they watched it all the way through, they could claim their Amazon gift card. Third example, somewhat different. I call this one Call Me. This was a small but highly personalized ABM campaign that a colleague received. My colleague's Facebook and Instagram features lots of pictures of him riding his Harleys and maybe 1 or 2 bar scenes where he, his captions talked about drinking a particular alcoholic beverage, Jack Daniels with Coke. So one day, my colleague received a package containing a stuffed teddy bear wearing a Harley vest, 2 of those little airplane bottles of Jack, and a handwritten letter, or it was actually a card, which simply said, "I only need 5 minutes of your time. Please call me." Then there was a signature and a phone number. My colleague really had no idea who this person was or why this person wanted to talk to him, but was intrigued enough with the effort to return the phone call. They ended up talking for over an hour, and 6 months later, a deal had been inked and the technology was implemented. My colleague said he remembered this person had been emailing him and calling him, but had been deleting those outreaches because it was just noise. Um, so this is effective, but it is difficult to do at scale. So it's best reserved for super high value prospects and individuals. So once the engagement is planned and launched, we want
Hey, Liz.
to, yeah,
Hey, listen, I think you've been covering some great content, and we have 2 questions that have come up. We have time for a few questions?
yeah, absolutely, Julie. Let's hear them.
All right. So we have a question from Steven, and I think he really liked your story because he's asking, how did they generate the database of people/emails if the account was a prospect?
It's such a great question. And it's one of those age-old questions that marketers and sales struggles with. So best practice here is to, well, a couple of best practices. Certainly buy lists, and then you want to enrich those lists with third-party technologies that are on the market today. Um, you can access databases to enrich with names, phone numbers, email addresses. Um, you can also use your own databases because chances are you're going to have some of this big company information already in your database. But the key here is to develop a marketing platform that consists of a bunch of enrichment technology, and pick and choose based on that.
All right, thank you. And then we have one other one.
Yeah.
And this one is, the question is, I'm not even sure we have an ABM program. How would we get started?
Yeah, that's another really, really insightful question because as we talked about earlier, it's both a buzzword and it's a strategy and maybe it's going on. So depending upon your organization, um, and how sort of what kind of walls exist or how hierarchical you are, you might want to start within your own sales chain of command. See if your sales manager knows anything about ABM. See if your regional vice president does. Um, but if you have the kind of organization where it's appropriate, and I hope this is the case, where you can just reach out to your friendly product marketer and ask, hey, is there ABM going on? How do I get involved? How do I get some of my accounts and prospects involved? Chances are your product marketer or your content marketer, the marketing team you work with on brochures and collateral, they'll be able to direct you. And if they don't know, somebody around marketing does. And here's the thing, if ABM is not yet in place, raise your hand and volunteer and use a couple of your prospects as a pilot. That would be, I think, a great use of time.
Oh, that's great advice. Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome, and thanks, Julie.
Good
Thanks,
tips.
folks. Yeah, keep the questions coming. Julie will break in as we go forward. Okay, so we're executing our campaign. We're dropping dimensional mailers. We're following up with phone calls. We're doing all that fun stuff. And now it's time to talk about success and talk about effectiveness. Here's the thing. Broad-based marketing looks at a set of metrics or key performance indicators, KPIs, that aren't all necessarily the right fit for ABM or they don't help sales understand ABM effectiveness. So as part of an ABM team, sales reps help marketers identify the metrics that will help optimize an account-based strategy. It might be up to marketing to prepare the data, but it should be shared and reviewed with the entire ABM team on a regular basis. The handover process will also have to be defined, especially if BDRs or SDRs are involved in the cadence, making calls and setting appointments. The key, though, is to determine what you'll be measuring in advance and the KPIs, just all of this before you launch your campaign. You want to make sure there's measurement throughout the campaign, and that you're taking these measures frequently. For example, The company that that I talked to you about a couple of slides ago, who was doing the fruitcake drops, they had a structured measurement program in place that was in 3 phases. So the first phase was early on, right? They were doing their first set of measurements 3 weeks in. They were looking for early indicator KPIs to help them fail fast or to give them reasons to keep going. And I really think this is a very good, strong approach. Early on, maybe it's not 3 weeks in, maybe you're doing it, a month in, but very early on, look to see about performance. In this case, their inbound MQL conversion normally took 28 days for a lead to become a meeting. And in this case, metrics 3 weeks in were showing that it was taking 14 days to book a meeting, meaning 14 days after receiving their campaign drops, meetings were being booked by BDRs. That's a 50% improvement. That is material. That is important. So the second set of measurements were taken at the 30 to 90 day mark. And this company was looking at overall engagement increases from a content consumption perspective. And I would encourage you to do the same, but look at downloads, website visits, email opens, anything that's going to help speak to content consumption beyond just opening the package. Then you want to look out 6 to 12 months. And you'll want to look at funnel velocity, deal close, increased deal size, all those things that are going to really look to increased revenue. Okay, we've talked a lot about the ABM campaign itself. We've talked a lot about content. As sales professionals, there are a couple of special value selling content types that are super critical to an ABM campaign, and marketing may not be aware of these. So it's up to you to talk to marketing and to really use your customer stories in an ABM campaign. So these customer stories make great input to things like personalized cover letters. So let's talk about these 3 special value selling content types that are sort of loosely called, that we can think of as customer stories. The first one, as you know, is the case study. That's typically 1 to 3 pages long, using your entire value prompter to tell a story about some customer success. The next is a reference story, typically a couple of paragraphs. This can be used in your credibility intro. It uses the value prompter, but less of the value prompter. So it's shorter than a case study. The third type is your value story. This uses, about half your value prompter. It's short. You should be able to get through this if you're leaving a voicemail in 30 seconds, or if you're talking to someone, maybe a minute. The outline for your value story has 3 pieces to it. You're looking first at the role of the individual. The second piece of the outline is the business issue and or problem they faced. You want 2 to 3 of these, not more. So it's not like 2 to 3 business issues, 2 to 3 problems, in total 2 to 3. And then you want to talk about value by saying, you want to say 4 magic words for this third piece. You want to say, by partnering with ABC company, right? 4 magic words: by partnering with ABC, and then the value they received. So that's your nod to solution, by partnering with. That implies your solution, and then you specify value. So by summarizing your value prompter in this way, you can create this value story that is very powerful when you're leaving a voicemail. It's very powerful in a very short email. Every one of these stories has a specific role in the buying journey, and when you look at that buying journey in its totality, you can see where these things fit. So for example, a case study is going to work great on the website as a customer reference, in a corporate brochure, in a tear sheet about your solution. Your reference story, that uses the value prompter, but not the entire value prompter. This one's great for longer emails, direct mail. It's great on a discovery call as part of your credibility intro, or when you get someone on the phone, even though it might be a cold call. And your value story, these make great social snips. If you're going to tweet out something, tweet out a value story. We talked about leaving it on a voicemail when you're making cold calls. You can also use a value story as part of an email. And if you're going to be including embedded video where you're videoing yourself talking, talk about a value story. Very powerful stuff. So we've talked a lot today. A couple of key points that I want you to take away. You can influence your company's ABM campaign. As a value selling practitioner, you have lots of great information and insight that's going to make your company's ABM strategy way more successful. And the outcome depends on alignment, sales and marketing working together. So this synergy and alignment is critical. Look, here's the thing, marketing relies on personas, and the more granular those personas are, the better the MQLs will be, which means the better your SQLs will be, which means the better success you're going to have. So really what I'm trying to say here, don't blame marketing if you're not getting great ABM leads. Work together, bring your super knowledge of value selling to your ABM campaigns where your marketers might not be aware. Couple quick things before I turn this back over to Julie. We talked about some examples and some metrics and measurement strategies. If you want to hear a little bit more about ABM from a company who's done this a lot from their point of view, listen to a podcast that you can find on our website. It's called the B2B Revenue Executive Experience. There's an episode on account-based marketing. I think we're calling it account-based sales and marketing. It's back from October of 2018, and we will include a link in the follow-up, but that's actually a great resource and a great podcast. So I'd encourage you to take a look at it.